What's up, guys? This is Astranox. We have Kawerik. Mediator Kawerik, ML Kawerik. He's here. He's a Dark Warrior. It's kind of weird, but he's also a support hero. He's not a damage-based hero. A lot of players are sad about that. And yeah, let me talk about him. I'll give you guys my thoughts. And of course, as per the usual, I will be plus 15ing this hero's skills. I'm thinking account number 2 because I lucked out in the previous ML 5-star heroes, so I'll get him there. I have some tanky heroes, bruisers. He's gonna fit right in. So his animation's kind of short. What is it, like a 2-second, between 2 and 3 second animation? It's short. Like we've seen like 4 up to 5 second animations in the past, so that's kind of underwhelming. Okay, so this hero, survivability wise, it's really good, right? Very high health. He has Apocalypse Ravi's stats. The thing is, he needs effect resistance, but he doesn't have effect resistance from Awakening. So that's unfortunate. He has it on the self-imprint. So yeah, I mean, that's not something most players will have. Maybe you'll unlock the first one later down the line, Unknown Slate. Maybe you got an extra Kawerik laying around, something like that. But that is unfortunate, I would say. So he's like Ray, basically. Not completely like Ray, but yeah. His skill 3, he removes the debuffs, and then he applies immunity on the whole team and gives attack buff. It's pretty strong. I'll talk more about that in a minute. Let's talk about his stats. Like I said, very high health, very good defense as well. Capricorn, star sign. So you got attack percentage for everyone beside himself in the team. The imprint release. So yeah, effect resistance for his self-imprint. That's cool and all that, right? 27, up to 27%, but it's gonna be hard to get that powered up. Now, I really wish he had effect resistance part of his Awakening, but he would have a different stat line if it was the case. I guess I would take the very high survivability that he has over losing quite a bit of that and getting effect resistance. So yeah, keep that in mind, I guess. It's if you're looking for the pros, right? So let's continue here. This hero, I feel like he's definitely gonna be able to shine in the right team, right? He will not go down easy, so that's good. But this hero doesn't have healing. He's supporting with various things, like here the skill number 3. It will dispel all debuff, and then you get attack buff and immunity buff for 2 turns. Up to 3 turns if you soul burn for 10 souls. And this thing has a very high cooldown of 7 turns. You definitely need the skill ups here to bring it down to 4 turns. So basically, you're gonna have this thing last 3 turns, the attack and immunity buff, and then the cooldown will be 4 turns. So pretty good uptime on that, right? Especially if you make him faster than the rest of your team. So it could sort of be like 100% uptime on the rest of the team. So that's good, right? And it depends on which artifact you're wearing on him. So warriors, it's kind of underwhelming, the artifacts that they do have, right? But you could have Strike Gauntlet on him, probably one of the better ones, only a 4-star artifact, so pretty good chance you have that thing maxed out to increase his effect resistance, more than 50% HP. He gets 60% effect resistance. Well, let's not talk about the self-imprint, effect resistance, out of that. I'm not gonna count that in because it's too hard, right? Unless you're unless you're like sort of unlucky with getting a bunch of Kaweriks. So let's continue here. It's a pretty strong skill 3, right? But during the live stream, a lot of players were comparing him to Desert Joe Bazaar. Yes, understandable. DJ Bazaar, I would say, it's stronger, right? Especially after the buff. That's the thing. So he got the buffs on the rest of the team. So of course, like nothing's gonna happen here from PYLOT because they have immunity, right? He removed the debuff first. So if you compare him to DJ Bazaar now heals because the skill 3 triggers his passive, and it doesn't have the CR push, right? So there are different heroes. If you want to compare them, the biggest take is that this hero is way higher in survivability compared to DJ Bazaar. Like, it's not even close. DJ Bazaar is complete garbage, his base stats. So that's a pro right there. And I mean, why have a hero that's similar to another one, right? Like you need a different kit to attract, you know, more attention, to have more players summon for him. So here the skill number 2, this is a single target attack. The skill 3 didn't deal any damage, it was just a buff, so it triggered PYLOT, you know, it will trigger, you know, Selene as well, right? Balance of power. This thing attacks one hero, decreasing attack for 2 turns. Attack break is very strong. I feel like this hero could be used in PvE content, so that's another pro. Like you can build him, invest in this hero, and he can be used in PvE and in PvP. So if you're looking for a hero that is gonna be worthy of your resources and fits your playstyle, because you're gonna need like heroes that are tanky, or I mean you could probably fit him in like a pretty high offense-based team, but he's not gonna help you that much because there's better heroes. You want to get an attack buff and deal damage at the same time. Like you could have like a Charles, you could have an Ian do better than him. But if you want to have some damage and also, you know, bring some ability to your team, I mean, he has attack buff. The immunity buff is very, very strong, right? So he does have barrier for the whole team here for 2 turns, on top of the attack break for that one hero that he targets if it doesn't get resisted. So that's another thing you have to worry about, building effectiveness on him. Now, if you want to build him as a bruiser, right, that's going to be really rough, because even though he has very high health, and this is the damage scales based on his max health, so that's good. But if you want to build crit damage on this hero, and then you have to worry about getting high health, some defense, getting a decent amount of speed, and then, you know, getting a bit of effectiveness on top of it all. I mean, let's not forget about the effect resistance, which is going to be a big deal, because you don't want him to be crippled, because you want him to go. And I feel like he's going to shine in a team that is like a turn 2 team, like a slower team. He needs to go first before the rest of your team, right? So that's really important that you you speed tune your team, because he's not like ML a little bit. Like when there's debuffs, the more debuffs on your team, you know, she's gonna get her combat units push. You know, it's part of her kit, so she can jump ahead, so you don't need to worry about that much speed, and she can jump ahead of the rest of your team, right? And she can cut between the enemy going, so you can do some interesting stuff with that. And her skill 3 put their cooldown, their skill on cooldown 1 turn if it doesn't get resisted. But he really needs to go before the rest of your team, because you want to cleanse those debuffs and apply immunity before the rest of the enemy team goes. Or at least so your team is not like stunned, you know, like silenced, so you can actually go back to back and do your combo. So here, this skill, my issue with that is, well, it's a single target attack, right? I don't know the multiplier if it's going to be good if you somehow want to build him as a bruiser and you want to sacrifice maybe effect resistance and other stats to make him work. I'll try him as a bruiser. That I can tell you that much. I'll give it a shot. But I think like leaning toward high effect resistance and worrying about survivability and some speed, like that's going to be better in building a bit of effectiveness to actually land this attack break on like a high threat damage dealer. It's going to be more important than, or is going to be more efficient than just going for everything. Of course, it's way too stat hungry. So this is good. The barrier for all allies. I don't know the multiplier. We'll see it in action. It didn't look that big actually. Barrier strength increased proportional to the allies' max health. Now that's another thing. If you bring him in a team that is very healthy, very tanky, right? You have multiple layers of protection, then this barrier will scale based on their max health. So if you bring him with some squishy heroes, he's not going to perform too well. So that's another thing. This is 3-turn cooldown after skill up. You got 30% damage from the skill ups, and you also have barrier strength increased by 20%. So you don't need to go full out on the skill ups on this. You max out skill 3, you get this thing to +3 at least, but bring it to +4. Who cares about the damage if you don't build him as a bruiser? And so you don't need that many MolaGora, and he could be used in PvE content as well. I'm not saying he's gonna be like the best hero to bring in all sorts of PvE content, but he can definitely work with his kit. You got the attack buff. You can keep your team sort of like alive with that barrier on a 3-turn cooldown. I don't know about how good that is, but yeah, let's continue here. So my other beef with this thing is that, I mean, the thing is landing an attack break, if it's not an AoE, it's gonna be rough in PvP. Think about all these stealthed heroes. So think about all these stealthed heroes like that Landy in the shadows. You got that Spectre Tenebria just dealing a ton of damage against your team. You can't target them, right? So how are you going to land that attack break versus those type of heroes to keep your team alive? I guess it's not gonna happen. So the damage is 2,400. Looks like it was a crushing hit as well. The numbers were bigger, could be wrong there. But if you scale that with crit damage, I mean, I guess it could be decent. Now, I sort of want to go back and check it again. Like, who was the target? And was he at elemental advantage? He's attacking light? Oh, okay. That's a Last Rider crowd, but there's no Aureus in the team, right? Okay. So yeah, he's at elemental advantage there, and pretty beefy hero. You know, LRK. Yeah, I would say that since there's no barrier, it's nothing too crazy right there. And it was a crushing hit as well. Okay, so skill number 1, this thing, okay, you will be able to cycle the hero with the highest combativeness on your team with this thing. So it's interesting, and the damage scales based on his max health. Of course, that's good if you want to build him as a bruiser. So here you actually get 5% combativeness increase from the skill up. So 15% CR to the highest CR hero on your team. It's pretty good. Like, it's not boosting the CR of the lowest CR hero on your team. It's allowing him to make, like, well, the hero that is closest to going go. So if you have him like on counter set, it's gonna be good. If this thing is actually triggering a few times during the battle, it's gonna make for some unexpected result. Like, the enemy will not expect your, let's say, I mean, they're showing here a Landy getting a CR push, right? So that could be pretty fatal in certain conditions. But Landy is also going to be really dangerous versus him. All those buffs that he's providing to the team, especially in a 4v4 format, good lord, she's going to melt that team alive. It's yeah, it's going to hurt real bad. So he's going to be available on the 27th of May. I'll definitely showcase this hero. So Mediator Kawerik with the Strike Gauntlet at 60% effect resistance already. Like, if you're targeting 200% effect resistance, like, building that extra 140% is not that bad. You might not even need effect resistance on the main stat of your ring. So you could opt for, you know, health percentage. You could opt for defense percentage. And if he has high effect resistance, then you can balance your health and your defense. Even though, like, that's the thing, like, when I'm talking, like, don't build him as a bruiser because he's too stat hungry. Well, if you don't build him as a bruiser, then you have the option of having like pretty solid amount of health, and you can balance it out, have a decent amount of defense as well on him. And with high effect resistance, they're not going to be landing defense break on him unless they have like high defense penetration on whoever hero will attack him. Of course, Little Queen Charlotte is definitely gonna deal quite a bit of damage against him. And that's definitely an issue, and that's definitely going to be a hero that you probably want to ban if you are running a team that is dark heavy, especially. But yes, I mean, his kit, it's definitely going to be interesting. He, like, the attack buff with the frenzy in RT will allow you to, well, of course, deal more damage against the enemy team. And I would say that you wouldn't want to bring that hero with a team that is too squishy. Like, you could definitely pair him with like Seaside, Bellona, Landy, like heroes that are attack based, but you build them like bruisery, you know, like around 15,000 health or even more. And if the whole team survives and that attack buff, you guys know how powerful Seaside Bellona is with an attack buff, even without an attack buff. Now, if she has a reliable hero that can remove debuffs off of her, right? Like, you gotta enemy team with whoever will come in there and strip your immunity. If you can take all of those debuffs off and you can speed tune your team for him to go first, and it's sort of like speed tight, right? Your speed is not too far apart, then you can do really good for yourself. And then if you have attack buff, of course, Seaside with Ringar special drink especially, she's just gonna deal a ton of damage. But like, so is Landy, right? So is a lot of other heroes. Like, you could have Fire Varien there. Like, so many heroes will work just fine with him. And you don't have to worry too much about having high effect resistance on the rest of your team, I would say, because if you build him fairly fast, then he could, you know, keep that immunity up, and he dispels before putting it up, so you don't have to worry about being able to buff debuff. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, I feel like I'll definitely make him shine, you know, Archdemon's Shadow. And of course, if I pick him, I will not go and pick like General Purgus. I will have my attack buff taken care of, and immunity, the cleansing, some ability increase from his barrier, so that's pretty cool. Potential attack break throughout the battle, that's also quite nice if I can land it on a high threat, high damage dealing hero. And the skill 1 could have some unexpected results, and you're going to be able to cycle faster, so that's pretty cool. But the issue also is that his skill 3, right? His skill 3 doesn't have something to get him in the battle like right away, right? He doesn't boost his own combat readiness. He's not getting an extra turn, so that's another reason why you want to pair him with some tanky heroes. Like if your team just goes down and he only used skill 3 and he didn't even use skill 2 yet, that's really unfortunate. But having him like on a counter set with that skill 1 triggering and boosting the CR of the ally that's closest to going, that's also pretty cool. So yeah, I can't wait to try him out, and it's definitely going to be a lot of fun. I just don't know exactly how good he's going to be, but you can be sure that I'll put him to the test in Arena, I'll put him to the test in RTA, in Guild War, and yeah, I'll fit him in my team, and I think he's going to do just fine, so it should be quite interesting. Anyways, let us know what you guys think about Mediator Kawerik in the comments section. If you're looking for an emulator to play Apex 7 on your computer or other mobile games, the one that I use personally is in the description of the video with the instruction on how to install it properly. So that's going to be it for this one. I'm Astranox. Good luck with all you do. Peace out for now.